I'm Andrea, and this is The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. "It is winter in Narnia," said Mr. Tumnus, "and has been for ever so long, and we shall both catch cold if we stand here talking in the snow. Daughter of Eve, from the far land of Spare where eternal summer reigns around the bright city of Wardrobe, how would it be if you came and had tea with me?" "Thank you very much, Mr. Tumnus," said Lucy, "but I was wondering whether I ought to be getting back." "It's only round the corner," said the fawn, "and there'll be a roaring fire, and toast, and sardines, and cake." "Well, it's very kind of you," said Lucy, "but I shan't be able to stay long." "If you take my arm, daughter of Eve," said Mr. Tumnus, "I shall be able to hold the umbrella over both of us. That's the way. Now off we go." And so Lucy found herself walking through the wood, arm in arm with this strange creature, as if they had known one another all their lives. They had not gone far before they came to a place where the ground became rough, and there were rocks all about, and little hills up and little hills down. At the bottom of one small valley, Mr. Tumnus turned suddenly aside, as if he was going to walk straight into an unusually large rock. But at the last moment, Lucy found he was leading her into the entrance of a cave. As soon as they were inside, she found herself blinking in the light of a wood fire. Then Mr. Tumnus stooped and took a flaming piece of wood out of the fire with a neat little pair of tongs and lit a lamp. "Now, we shan't be long," he said, and immediately put a kettle on. Lucy thought she had never seen a nicer place. It was a little dry, clean cave of reddish stone, with a carpet on the floor and two little chairs. "One for me and one for a friend," said Mr. Tumnus. "And a table, and a dresser, and a mantelpiece over the fire, and above that a picture of an old fawn with a grey beard." In one corner there was a door, which Lucy thought must lead to Mr. Tumnus's bedroom, and on one wall was a shelf full of books. Lucy looked at these while he was setting out the tea things. They had titles like "The Life and Letters of Silenus," or "Nymphs and Their Ways," or "Men, Monks and Gamekeepers, a Study in Popular Legend," or "Is Man a Myth?" "Now, daughter of Eve," said the fawn. And it really was a wonderful tea. There was a nice brown egg, lightly boiled for each of them, and then sardines on toast, and then buttered toast, and then toast with honey, and then a sugar-topped cake. And when Lucy was tired of eating, the fawn began to talk. He had wonderful tales to tell of life in the forest. He told about the midnight dances, and how the nymphs, who lived in the wells, and the dryads, who lived in the trees, came out to dance with the fawns. About long hunting parties after the milk-white stag, who could give you wishes if you caught him. About feasting and treasure-seeking with the wild red dwarves in deep mines and caverns far beneath the forest floor. And then about summer, when the woods were green, and old Silenus on his fat donkey would come to visit them. And sometimes Bacchus himself. And then the streams would run with wine instead of water, and the whole forest would give itself up to jollification for weeks on end. Not that it isn't always winter now," he added gloomily. Then, to cheer himself up, he took out from its case on the dresser a strange little flute that looked as if it was made of straw, and began to play. And the tune he played made Lucy want to cry and laugh, and dance and go to sleep, all at the same time. It must have been hours later when she shook herself and said, "Oh, Mr. Tumnus, I'm so sorry to stop you, and I do love that tune, but really, I must go home. I only meant to stay for a few minutes." "It's no good now, you know," said the fawn, laying down its flute and shaking its head at her very sorrowfully. So, do you think it was wise of Lucy to go to tea with a stranger? And why can't Lucy go home?